It is 2 days after Christmas. Dr. Watson enters Holmes' sitting room. The famous detective is sitting on the sofa. Are you busy? I don't want to interrupt.
Not at all. I'm glad to have a friend to discuss my research with.
Holmes points to the hat.
But it is interesting.
I suppose you are going to tell me that this hat has some terrible crime linked to it.
No crime. It's just one of those strange incidents that can happen in cities. Do you know Mr. Peterson?
Yes?
This hat belongs to him.
It is his hat?
No, he found it. We do not know who owns the hat. It arrived on Christmas morning with the good fat
2 days
goose
earlier, on
roasting on
Christmas
Peterson's
morning,
fire. I will tell
Peterson
you what
had entered
happened.
Holmes' sitting room, carrying a goose and a hat.
Peterson, how are you? And why are you carrying that goose and battered hat?
I'm sorry to bother you, Holmes, but I must tell you about a curious incident that just happened.
Please continue.
I was walking home at 4 o'clock this morning when I saw a man ahead of me, carrying a goose over one shoulder. Some rough characters attacked the man. He raised his walking stick to defend himself, and he accidentally broke a store window. I rushed forward to help. He dropped the goose and hat and ran away.
So you're looking for the owner of the hat and the goose?
Yes, I found a card on the leg of the goose that read, "For Mrs. Henry Baker." I also noticed the initials HB on the lining of the hat. But there are hundreds of Henry Bakers in the city, so it is not easy to find the owner. This is a minor matter, but could you help me to locate the owner?
I will do what I can.
Watson finds the story very interesting. Have you found the owner yet?
No, Peterson reclaimed the goose and will enjoy it for dinner tonight. I will keep the hat until I find its owner.
But how could you possibly locate the owner?
I just have the clues that I deduced from this hat.
What can you learn from this old hat?
You know my methods. What can you learn about the man who has worn this hat?
It is an ordinary black hat. Tell me what you can learn from this hat. Holmes opened his mouth to answer, but he is interrupted when Peterson rushes into the apartment.
The goose, Mr. Holmes, the goose.
What about it?
Look what my wife found in the goose.
What about it?
Look what my wife found in the goose.
He shows them a brilliant, sparkling blue stone.
Peterson, this is a treasure. Do you know what you have?
Is it a diamond or other precious stone?
It is the precious stone.
Is it the Countess of Morcar's blue carbuncle?
Exactly. There is a reward of 1,000 pounds.
1,000 pounds!
If I remember correctly, the gem was lost at the Hotel Cosmopolitan.
You are correct.
Well,
The stone came from the goose, and the goose came from Mr. Henry Baker. We must find this man and learn his part in the mystery. To find Mr. Baker, we will use the simplest means, an advertisement in the newspaper.
what will you say?
Found at the corner of Good Street, a goose and a black cat. Mr. Henry Baker can reclaim his belongings tonight at 221B Baker Street.
Very, but do you think he will see it?
He will keep his eye on the paper. He is a poor man and cannot afford this loss. Since I've included his name, everyone who knows him will tell him about the advertisement.
And what will you do with the stone?
I shall keep it for now. And Peterson, please buy a goose and bring it here. We must have one to give to Mr. Baker in place of the one that your family is devouring.
Of course.
Do you think that Henry Baker had anything to do with this?
I think Henry Baker is innocent. A very simple test will confirm this.
I'll come back tonight to find out if Mr. Henry Baker reclaims his hat and the goose.
Please do, and join me for dinner.
That night, Watson approaches Holmes' house. He sees a man waiting at the door. The man enters the building along with him.
Watson, you have arrived at the right time. Mr. Henry Baker, I believe. Please take this chair by the fire. Is that your hat, Mr. Baker?
Yes, that is definitely my hat.
We have been looking for an advertisement from you giving your address. Why did you not advertise?
I did not want to spend money in a hopeless attempt to recover them.
Of course. By the way, about the bird, we ate it.
You ate it?
You would have spoiled, but we bought you a fresh goose of the same way. Will that do?
Oh, certainly.
Holmes nods at Watson.
There is your hat and there is the goose. By the way, where did you get the other goose?
I often go to the Alpha Inn. This year, the owner, Windigate, started a goose club. We all paid some money each week and received a goose at Christmas.
Baker bows and leaves. Holmes turns to Watson.
So much for Mr. Henry Baker. Let us follow up another clue.
Indeed. A short while later, Holmes and Watson enter the Alpha Inn. They order from the landlord with,
Your refreshments should be excellent if they are as good as your geese.
My geese?
I was just talking with a member of your goose club, Mr. Henry Baker.
Oh, I understand now. But those weren't our geese. I bought 24 from a salesman in Covent Garden.
Who is it that you brought your geese from?
His name is Breckenbridge.
I don't know him. Here's to your good health.
Good night.
Holmes and Watson walk to Covent Garden Market, where the street is filled with food stalls. Holmes is interrupted by an argument behind him. He hears Breckenridge arguing with a small man.
If you pester me with any more of your silly talk about a goose, I'll set the dog on you. You bring Mrs. Oakshott here and I'll answer her. But what do you have to do with it? Did I buy these geese from you?
The man walks away, but Holmes catches up with him and touches him on the shoulder.
Please excuse me. I cannot help overhearing your conversation with the salesman. I think I can assist you.
Who are you? How could you know anything of the matter?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. You are trying to track some geese which were sold by Mrs. Oakshott to Breckenridge. He, in turn, sold them to Mr. Wingate of the Alpha Inn.
I can hardly explain to you how interested I am in this matter.
Holmes hails a cab.
Tell me who it is that I have the pleasure to help.
Well, my name is James Ryder.
Oh yes, you are the head attendant of the Hotel Cosmopolitan.
I am.
Holmes, Watson, and Ryder get into the cab and leave for Holmes' house. A short while later, they enter Holmes' sitting room.
Here we are. You want to know what became of those geese, or rather, it was one bird that interested you.
Can you tell me where it went?
It came here, and what a remarkable bird it was. It laid a beautiful, bright blue little egg. I have it here.
Holmes unlocks a strong box. Then he holds up the blue carbuncle.
The game is up, Ryder. I have almost all the proof I need. There's little that you need to tell me.
Ryder falls to his knees.
Have mercy on me. Think of my father and mother. It would break their hearts. I never went wrong before. I never will again. Don't bring it to court.
Get back in your chair. Now let us hear the rest.
I have a friend called Maudsley. I made up my mind to go to Kilburn, where he lived. He would show me how to turn the stone into money, but I did not know how to get to him safely. I decided to go to my sister's home until I could think of a plan.
Ryder finishes telling the story. He sits with Holmes and Watson in Holmes' sitting room.
My sister thinks that I am going mad. Perhaps I am. Now I am called a thief, and I never touched the wealth for which I sold my character.
Ryder sobs and buries his face in his hands. Sherlock Holmes taps his fingers as he thinks. Then he stands and opens the door.
Get out.
What? Oh, thank you, sir.
Ryder runs out the door.
After all, Watson, I am not hired by the police to fix their failures. If Horner were in danger, it would be a different story. But Ryder will not testify against Horner and the case will collapse. Ryder will not go wrong again. He is too frightened. It is the season of forgiveness. Now we shall ask Mrs. Hudson for a dinner and begin another investigation in which a bird is the chief feature.